Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. This is the darkest and most negative side of this that I've seen, but it does connect dots. Especially connects CIA and Bush and banking and money. So I'm paying attention to it.
Ship saucer parts, men, and documents to Antarctica throughout the war. Judging by the gigantic size of underground bases found in Germany after the war, with wind tunnels, assembly plants, launching pads, machine shops, supply dumps, accommodations, and adjacent slave quarters for thousands, it is quite possible they constructed similar bases in Greenland, Antarctica, and South America. Secret societies take over the world. On August 27, 30, and September 9, 1958, the U.S. dropped several nuclear bombs on Antarctica. How many bombs were actually dropped during those infamous 3 days is anybody's guess. Could this be the reason there is a hole in the ozone layer over Antarctica today?
I forgot about the atomic bombs being dropped here, but that's reported by several groups. Most unfortunate. Skull and Bones, Bushes were associated with that.
It was in Germany that the Jesuits were most welcomed and where they undertook clandestine actions to keep the Pope in power, and such secrecy also meant building catacombs and underground tunnels that spanned the globe. They were cultists and worshippers of Lucifer. Hitler created a false alien culture, the plan being that Nordic-type aliens would visit the rest of the Earth and convince mankind that they were from another planet.
Like I said, this is pretty dark.
Which was constructed with the help of a large number of expendables during the war, and knew that a confrontation was imminent. Much effort was put into developing secret weapons projects to defend their new underground empire, which was constructed with the help of a large number of expendable slave laborers transported from the concentration camps of Europe. Germany had developed self-sufficiency before the end of the war, and was manufacturing their own oil, produced butter from coal, invented powdered milk, developed freeze-drying, learned to store flour indefinitely, and were growing their food in greenhouses on chemical soil. These projects were also necessary for survival of the Germans, which Hitler called the Last Battalion. When Byrd wrote his book, The Hollow Earth, he was writing about the German takeover of the Antarctic. He was not writing about aliens. It is quite possible that Byrd never seen a spaceship before, even though it was common knowledge that Germany had built 260 of them after Hitler came to power.
This is the first time that I've heard the exact numbers, 260 of them, after Hitler come to power.
Could it be possible that Eisenhower went to sign a treaty with Germans of Antarctica instead of meeting aliens in California? And did Admiral Byrd inadvertently begin the alien agenda? Germany might have lost the war, but they were far from giving up their power. In 1870, Edward Bulwer Lytton published a science fiction novel, The Power of the Coming Race, which describes an underground race of superhuman angel-like creatures and their mysterious energy force, Vril, an all-permeating fluid of limitless power. The story goes that the people, called Vrilya, are able to control this energy source with their minds, both to do good as well as to destroy. The fact that the book was even published is apparent. Luciferian secrets are always kept right out in the open. This society was already in full swing when the book was written. The Vrils, part of the hierarchy of the German elite, an ex-monarchy, took the book to heart and created a very dark society where they tried to control this powerful energy source by sacrificing children. This is the same old hammer of Thor.
So this demonic group where they sacrifice children to get this power, this has been going on for millennia, thousands and thousands of years, unfortunately.
The Germanic tribes routinely murdered children to possess Thor's hammer. The head of the Tibetan monks that Hitler imported to help him lead Germany was known as the Man with the Green Glove. The monks were posted in Berlin, Munich, and Nuremberg and helped in the sacrifices to Moloch.
Now, again, all these evil powers. Moloch is another one. This gal was also in a secret society and a psychic.
Orsic, of Zagreb, who claimed to have received communication from Aryan aliens living on Alpha Centauri, in the Aldebaran system, created the Vril Society. Allegedly, these aliens had visited Earth and settled in Sumeria, and the word Vril was formed from the ancient Sumerian word Vril, like God. A second medium was known only as Sigrun, a name etymologically related to Sigrun, a Valkyrie and one of Wotan's 9 daughters in Norse legend. We can see where Sitchin received most of his information for his false interpretation of Sumerian. He was given this information from the Vril Society, when the Rockefellers, Roosevelts, Rothschilds and German royalty decided to create their alien agenda. They mentored Sitchin, Rael, and Billy Myers and Erich von Däniken.
So Erich von Däniken. So this is, again, they're being twisted and manipulated, and power is in control is over all of it, and money. It's pretty sick.
Now that the Fourth Reich is well on its way to the NWO, Germany controls the crown of Britain, Israel, under a false Zionism run by Khazar Jews, the Vatican, where the Jesuits of Germany have full control, and Germany controls all the money of the EU.
Again, money and control of EU and all this over money and power and control.
Never stopped fighting the war. They literally went underground. The black nobility.
Germany going underground because they weren't winning above ground. This sounds so very true. Wow, mind-blowing in some ways.
Or Aryan race believe that they are superior beings from anywhere but Earth, but they are enslaved here and have never left. They have spent generations underground fomenting their plans from the bowels of the earth. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. 11 And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue has his name Apollyon. 12 One woe is past, and, behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. Revelations 9:11. Revelations makes it clear that the Nazis of Germany are still fighting a world war. They have fashioned great weapons and flying machines while underground, and they are waiting for the right moment to swarm the earth and take over the planet and implement the NWO. If you understand what is going on, then you will understand how Prescott Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, and George W. Bush all had a hand in giving Germany power here in America, through the creation of the Central Intelligence Agency. Remember, Prescott Bush was given an
that's also can be backed up and is true. This stuff is just incredibly scary because it's got connections with one another.
Incredible amount of Nazi money, and he started the CIA. His son was head of the CIA, and the first order of the day after World War II was to bring Project Paperclip to the United States. The Bushes, who are originally from Germany, have an inordinate amount of power in the US. Prescott was member of Skull and Bones, and the Thule Society of Germany, which later became the Vrils. The Thule Society was a cover name adopted by Rudolf von Sebottendorf, an alias of Adam Alfred Rudolf Glower, a post-WWI occultist who had influenced many members of the NSGWP, National Socialist German Workers' Party. He used this cover name for his Munich Lodge of the Holy Grail at its formal dedication on August 18, 1918. The term Thule or Ultima Thule is in a place, usually an island. Ancient European descriptions and maps located either in the far north, often northern Great Britain, or Scandinavia. In the late Middle Ages and Renaissance, in the west and north, often Iceland or Greenland, but it moved much further south to Antarctica. Ultima Thule is located beyond the borders of the known world, and some people use Ultima Thule as the Latin name for Greenland. The American Air Force Base is still called Thule. Now the term Thule is based on Nordic language meaning clear or pure. Thousands of Germans were a member of the Thule Company. The organization itself was formed as a branch of Freemasonry. The swastika stolen from Tibet was their emblem. The Vril Society was the inner circle of the Thule Society. All German flying saucers or VS were financed by the Union Banking Corporation. When Prescott Bush was on the board of this bank together with his father-in-law, UBC was dissolved in 1951. Prescott was reimbursed $1,500,000. These supposed assets were later used to launch Bush family investments in the Texas energy industry. The Illuminati, the Vril Society, the monarchy of England and the papacy have all been part of this great conspiracy to overthrow all existing governments, and to create a one-world government based on German nobility, except they don't want to be just Germans. They are Vrils, like God, and people like Billy Myers and Rael, have had contact with them, and they are wonderful. They are the Elohim, they created us, or so they want everyone to believe. Lucifer is portrayed as an angel of light, and he is in utter darkness. His minions are below, they are demons, they are goblins, they are waiting in the darkest corners of the abyss to attack.
Now, is it interesting how they've connected some of those dots? And I didn't know that about the Bush family. Wow, this is scary to say the least. All I know is that Christ will put this stuff down and that these people be overthrown, at least at the second coming, if not before. They're not going to achieve their goals. So says Christ, and so says the Scriptures, and so says the Bible. And I see these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.